We've already had the BMW M4 CSL, that's the hardcore coupe, no rear seats, special tyres, more powerful engine, lower weight. It's very hardcore, great for on track, it's rear drive as well. Then there was the M3 CS. So it took the same engine, but it added xDrive, so four-wheel drive. It didn't lose the rear seats and a few other tweaks. It's more designed more for everyday use. Now, logically, it's time for the M4 CS. If you know about the M3 CS, then you pretty much know about this car. It has the same 550 horsepower straight six turbocharged engine under that bonnet, the one we know and love, but it's married with xDrive. So it's got the four-wheel drive, it's got the 8-speed Steptronic, and it is designed a bit more for everyday use. The looks perhaps don't say that. The looks are more racetrack refugee. You've got this lovely carbon fibre splitter down here, got lots of other carbon bits. I really like the exposed carbon bits on the bonnet, and that follows on from the M3 CS, the same formula, and it works well here. This car, unlike the CSL, has rear seats. It's a bit less compromised on day-to-day use. However, it is still designed to be used on track, and that's why we're in Austria at the Salzburgring to try it. This place is very fast, and it was a little bit damp when we were out as well, which makes a bit of a challenge and perhaps shows off that xDrive four-wheel drive to good effect. So you kind of know all about it. We've driven the M3 CS in the past. Let's go out on track now and see how this compares and see whether it is a track car or perhaps one best kept to the road. Just in case people think it's not as hardcore as CSL, it isn't, of course. It's not as light. It has rear seats, as I said. It's got the same engine, 550 horsepower, and that's straight six. Turbocharged straight six is just a thing of beauty, isn't it? Now this car is properly agile. These chicane switchbacks. Track is a little bit damp, and there are a few drops of rain to keep us awake. But arguably, that's the advantage of the xDrive, of course. Somebody who buys this car might not go on track all the time, not perhaps as much as somebody who buys an M4 CSL. That's definitely a track toy, whereas this probably does it all. But I guess if you ever want to do a wet track day, this is probably a good option. You've got a bit more traction coming out of the corners. It's just as high powered. And hey, if you really want it to be rear wheel drive, you can change it to that. You turn off the DSC, you can select four wheel drive sport, you can select two wheel drive, rear wheel drive. Unfortunately, you have to have that without traction control, without stability control. There is variable traction control, I should say. You turn off the traction, you turn off the stability control to access that mode, and to access the four-wheel drive sport as well, actually. But then you can vary the traction control settings to your liking. We won't be doing that today, not at this track. We're actually not allowed to go drifting today, as it happens, but there isn't a huge amount of runoff here. There isn't a lot of space, and it's also a very, very fast track. It's quite a challenge, as always, to keep up with a fastly driven pace car in front while talking to the camera like this. So hopefully I make some sense. But as we said, as I will say, you can find a full review online, a full news piece online, and we have driven the M3 CS, and we have reviewed that before. And really this is the same car with a coupe body. I was speaking to BMW earlier, and the justification is that some people just want the coupe shape. And so the CS style, the CS specification with the four-wheel drive, the automatic transmission, the 550 horsepower engine, they want all of that, but they don't want to be restricted to having to use the saloon body style, the M3, and this is for them really. And it's a fabulous car. It's immediate responses. Steering is immediate, the brakes perfectly judged. The transmission, I know it's an automatic, and if you're just cruising along on the motorway, it is very smooth and very, very competent, but it has BMW M's usual drive logic, as it's called, where you can adjust the ferocity of the changes through 3 different levels, and it makes a big difference. And everything else is adjustable too, as ever. You have these M1, M2 buttons here where you can put your favorite settings, but at any point you can press the setup button, maybe not while I'm driving along this big long straight here, 200 kilometers an hour. Won't be doing it right this second, if you forgive me. but you can change the engine over three different levels, the chassis over 3 different levels, steering over 2, the brakes over 2, and then you can adjust the 4-wheel drive like I mentioned earlier. So if you're all day on a track, if you have the access to a track for a day and the weather's changeable, or you just want to play, this is absolutely great. You can get the most out of the car, the most out of yourself, and just enjoy it. And that's what it's all about. It's for somebody who will enjoy driving and will drive for the sake of it, if you like. And that is of course true of the CSL, the more specialized CSL, but the difference here is that the CS is perhaps better useful for every day, but it's not the worse for that, and that doesn't make it a lesser car. In fact, it's a very special car, and one you will not want to stop driving. Fortunately, I have to now. More's the pity. So, for those of you that thought maybe the CS is a bit of a lesser car than a CSL, you really should take note. It is nothing of the sort. Sure, it has 4-wheel drive. Sure, it's not quite as light as that CSL. And now it's hardcore, but it still gets the heart beating. It is seriously good fun on track. It's agile. It moves around a lot, actually, even at relatively low speed. So it challenges you. And I think the kind of person that buys this car will like that, will like challenging themselves, getting to know the car, improving their own skills. Either way, it's undoubtedly a good addition to the lineup. You can read my full review of the M4 CS on our website. It's CompleteCar.ie, and it's a great resource for researching your next new car.